it is, the big, soulless shadow. You're a real disappointment, Michael. I thought a legendary killer like you would have a little sense of humor. You just stand there like a statue made of lard. You know, silence can be golden, but when you don't have any good only lingers or even a decent moan, it's just boring. I've heard tearing paper that was more entertaining. I provide entertainment. I have style. I turn dreams into nightmares, and I talk to my victims. And you just skulk around, breathe heavily, and look like an expired door toad, your salesman who got lost. Come on, say something, you are. Give me a die or something, or are you just an old rag doll with a broken window key? Typical. Fine. Keep being your shadowy self. I'll go back to creating some real nightmares. At least I know how to put on a show.
Welcome to one of the most iconic showdowns in horror cinema history. Freddy Krueger, the Nightmare of Elm Street, facing off against Michael Myers, the silent killer from Haddonfield. Both are legendary icons of terror, but with completely different styles and powers that set them apart in the realm of horror. Freddy Krueger is a supernatural serial killer who attacks his victims in their dreams, wielding razor-sharp clawed gloves and a twisted, nightmarish imagination. He represents the fear of what lurks in our subconscious, the terror that waits when we close our eyes and drift into sleep. Michael Myers, on the other hand, is an immortal killing machine, silent, relentless, and brutal. With superhuman physical strength and a terrifying ability to withstand seemingly fatal injuries, he embodies the inescapable nature of death itself, stalking his victims with patient, emotionless determination. These two titans of terror couldn't be more different in their approach to horror. Freddy is theatrical, sadistic, and psychological. He feeds on fear and enjoys tormenting his victims with elaborate nightmares before delivering the final blow. Michael is the opposite, straightforward, methodical, and purely physical. He doesn't speak, doesn't taunt, and shows no emotion as he systematically eliminates his targets. Today, we'll dive deep into analyzing their powers, weaknesses, and combat tactics. We'll examine what makes each of them such formidable killers in their own right. And then, we'll imagine a hypothetical battle scenario to determine who would emerge victorious if these two horror legends were to clash. So, buckle up as we explore this ultimate battle between the Dream Demon and the shape of evil itself. Freddy Krueger, the Dream Demon, origins and background. Freddy Krueger's story is one of vengeance from beyond the grave. In life, he was a child murderer who terrorized the children of Springwood, Ohio on Elm Street. When he escaped justice on a technicality, the furious parents of his victims took matters into their own hands, tracking him down to his boiler room lair and burning him alive. But death was not the end for Freddy. He was resurrected as a dream demon, given powers by dark entities to continue his reign of terror from beyond the grave, now able to attack his victims in their most vulnerable state, their dreams. Powers and abilities. Dream manipulation. This is Freddy's most devastating weapon. He has near omnipotent control over the dream world, able to warp reality itself within the sleeping mind. He can transform into anything, create elaborate torture scenarios, manipulate the environment, and bend the laws of physics to his will. In dreams, he is essentially a god, limited only by his imagination and the strength of his victim's will. Razor glove. Freddy's iconic weapon. A modified leather glove fitted with razor-sharp blades on each finger. These claws can slice through flesh and bone with ease, and any injury inflicted in the dream world manifests in reality, making them genuinely lethal despite being imaginary. Psychological warfare. Freddy doesn't just kill, he terrifies. He's a master manipulator who knows how to exploit his victims' deepest fears and insecurities. He toys with them, playing cruel games and creating elaborate scenarios designed to maximize their psychological torment before he moves in for the kill. This sadistic streak makes him not just a killer, but a torturer who feeds on fear itself. Regeneration. Within the dream world, Freddy can regenerate from virtually any injury. Cut him in half, blow him up, dismember him. He'll simply reform and come back for more, often mocking his victims as he does so. Weaknesses and limitations. Dependency on sleep and fear. This is Freddy's Achilles heel. He can only attack victims who are asleep, and his power is directly proportional to how much fear his victim experiences. If someone stays awake, he's powerless. If they can conquer their fear and deny him that emotional fuel, his abilities weaken significantly. Vulnerability in the real world. If Freddy is somehow pulled from the dream world into physical reality, he becomes substantially more vulnerable. While still dangerous, he loses much of his supernatural power and can be injured or even killed like any physical being. Memory-dependent existence. Freddy's very existence relies on being remembered and feared. If people forget about him or stop fearing him, his power diminishes to the point where he could potentially cease to exist altogether. Michael Myers, The Shape of Evil. Origins and background. Michael Myers' story begins on Halloween night in 1963, when 6-year-old Michael brutally murdered his teenage sister Judith with a kitchen knife. The act was committed without apparent motive, emotion, or remorse. After 15 years in a psychiatric institution under the care of Dr. Sam Loomis, Michael escaped and returned to Haddonfield to continue his killing spree. What makes Michael truly terrifying is his complete lack of humanity. He's been described as purely and simply evil by Dr. Loomis, operating without discernible motivation beyond an inexplicable compulsion to kill. Powers and abilities. Superhuman strength. Michael possesses physical strength far beyond normal human limitations. He can lift adult victims with one hand, punch through solid doors, pin people to walls with knives, and overpower multiple opponents simultaneously. His grip is like a vice, and his stabbing force can drive blades through torsos and into walls behind his victims. Supernatural durability and regeneration. This is perhaps Michael's most terrifying attribute. He simply cannot be stopped. He's been shot multiple times, including 6 shots to the chest from point-blank range. He's been stabbed, set on fire, hit by cars, fallen from significant heights, and even had both eyes shot out. Yet he always gets back up, always continues his pursuit. Whether this is supernatural immortality or simply an incomprehensible will to continue is unclear. But the result is the same. Michael Myers cannot be killed by conventional means. Unwavering determination. Michael never stops, never tires, never gives up. He can stalk a victim for hours or even days, displaying infinite patience. He doesn't run, except in rare instances, because he doesn't need to. He knows he'll catch his prey eventually. This relentlessness creates a sense of inevitable doom for his victims. Stealth and invisibility. Despite his size and the iconic white mask, Michael has an uncanny ability to appear and disappear seemingly at will. He can be standing in plain sight one moment and vanish the next, only to reappear somewhere unexpected. This supernatural stealth makes him unpredictable and allows him to strike when victims least expect it. Weaknesses and limitations. Lack of tactical intelligence. While Michael is cunning in his stalking, he doesn't employ complex strategies or plans. His approach is straightforward and brutally simple. Identify target, stalk target, kill target. He doesn't set elaborate traps or manipulate situations. He relies purely on physical prowess and relentlessness. Single-minded focus. Once Michael locks onto a target, particularly if they're connected to his past, he becomes almost obsessively focused on them. This tunnel vision can potentially be exploited, as he may ignore other threats or opportunities while pursuing his chosen victim. Silence as a double-edged sword. Michael never speaks, which adds to his mystique but also means he cannot communicate, intimidate verbally, or manipulate through words. He's purely a physical threat without the psychological warfare capabilities that some killers employ. Setting the stage. The confrontation takes place on a deserted street in the dead of night. Thick fog rolls through the abandoned neighborhood, swirling around derelict houses and rusted chain-link fences. The pale moonlight struggles to penetrate the mist, casting everything in an eerie, silver-tinged gloom. Streetlights flicker intermittently, creating pools of sickly yellow light, separated by vast stretches of darkness. The air is heavy with an unnatural silence. No crickets chirp, no dogs bark, no wind rustles the leaves. This is a place where reality feels thin, where the barriers between worlds seem permeable. The encounter. Michael Myers emerges from the shadows, moving with his characteristic slow, deliberate gait. His white mask catches fragments of moonlight, seeming to float disembodied through the fog. In his right hand, he grips his butcher knife, the blade glinting menacingly. He's hunting, as always, driven by whatever incomprehensible force compels him to kill. From the darkness ahead, a harsh, mocking laugh echoes through the empty street. Freddy Krueger steps into view, his grotesque, burned face twisted into a malicious grin, his razor gloves scraping against a metal fence, sending sparks flying and creating a hideous screeching sound. "Well, well, well, ha ha ha," Freddy taunts. "Looks like someone forgot to wear their personality along with that stupid mask." Michael doesn't respond. He never does. He simply adjusts his grip on his knife and continues his advance, emotionless and unrelenting. Combat dynamics. Freddy's opening gambit. Freddy attempts his usual tactic, trying to drag his opponent into the dream world where he reigns supreme. He uses his powers to blur the lines between waking and sleeping, creating dreamlike distortions in the environment. The street begins to shift and morph, houses melting and reforming, the ground becoming unstable. Freddy unleashes a barrage of psychological attacks, conjuring horrific images designed to terrorize his opponent into submission. But here's the crucial problem. Michael Myers doesn't react. He shows no fear, no surprise, no emotion whatsoever. He simply continues walking forward, knife raised, completely unaffected by the nightmarish transformations around him. Freddy's power, which feeds on fear and operates through sleep, finds no purchase on Michael's emotionless, possibly soulless psyche. Michael's relentless assault. Michael closes the distance and attacks with brutal efficiency. His knife stabs forward, plunging deep into Freddy's chest. Any normal person would crumple, but Freddy just laughs, the wound healing almost immediately as he shifts partially into his dream form. "That the best you got, big guy?" he mocks. But Michael doesn't stop. He stabs again, and again, and again. No frustration, no anger, just mechanical, persistent violence. He grabs Freddy by the throat with superhuman strength and slams him against a wall, the impact creating cracks in the masonry. The knife comes down repeatedly, a brutal, relentless rhythm of violence. Freddy's desperation. Freddy begins to realize he's in serious trouble. His opponent won't sleep, won't fear, and won't stop. He tries everything in his arsenal, creating illusions of multiple Michaels to confuse him, transforming the environment into a labyrinth, manifesting fire and explosions. But Michael simply powers through it all, his supernatural durability allowing him to withstand attacks that would kill a normal person. His single-minded determination keeping him locked onto his target. Freddy attempts to fully enter the dream world and escape, but Michael's grip is iron strong. He's pulled back into physical reality, where his powers are significantly diminished. The dream demon finds himself in an unfamiliar position. He's the prey, not the predator. The climactic finale. The battle rages through the fog-shrouded streets, a brutal showcase of two different forms of horror. Freddy's supernatural nature allows him to survive injuries that should be fatal, regenerating from stab wounds and using his razor glove to slice deep gashes across Michael's body. But Michael's own regenerative abilities and complete imperviousness to pain mean he doesn't slow down, doesn't falter. Eventually, Michael's superior physical strength and absolutely relentless nature begin to overwhelm Freddy. Michael grabs Freddy's razor glove hand and with a display of brutal force, crushes it, mangling the metal and breaking the bones beneath. Freddy screams, perhaps one of the few times anyone has heard genuine pain from the dream demon. Michael drives his knife through Freddy's torso, pinning him to the ground. Then, with methodical thoroughness, he begins dismembering the dream demon. But even this isn't enough. Freddy's supernatural nature means he could potentially regenerate. Michael, operating on some instinctual understanding, drags Freddy's body to one of the abandoned houses. Finding a gas line, he creates an explosion that engulfs the building in flames. As fire consumes Freddy Krueger, ironically mirroring how he originally died, his form begins to dissolve, his connection to the physical world severed by the combination of brutal physical trauma and the purifying nature of the flames. His final screams echo through the night before fading to silence. Michael Myers stands in the firelight, his mask illuminated by the orange glow, his form cast in flickering shadows. Slowly, he turns and walks away into the fog, ready to continue his eternal hunt. Why Michael Myers emerges victorious. Immunity to fear. This is the decisive factor. Freddy's entire power structure is built on fear and the dream state. Michael Myers appears to be completely devoid of fear, perhaps devoid of all emotions entirely. Dr. Loomis described him as having the devil's eyes, suggesting Michael may not be entirely human anymore, if he ever was. Without fear to feed on, Freddy loses his primary weapon and power source. The sleep problem. Freddy needs his victims to sleep to access his full power. Michael Myers, in his supernatural state, may not sleep at all, or if he does, his mindset is so alien and empty that there's nothing for Freddy to latch onto. No subconscious fears to exploit, no dreams to invade. It's like trying to hack a computer that isn't connected to any network. There's simply no access point. Powerful. Physical dominance. In any direct physical confrontation outside the dream world, Michael has a significant advantage. His superhuman strength and durability, combined with his absolute relentlessness, make him a devastating opponent in hand-to-hand combat. Freddy, while capable in physical fights, relies more on his supernatural powers and psychological tactics than pure physical prowess. Supernatural persistence. Both have remarkable regenerative abilities, but Michael's seems more reliable and doesn't depend on external factors like fear or the dream world. He's been killed numerous times and always returns, suggesting his immortality may be even more absolute than Freddy's. Emotional void. Freddy's sadistic pleasure in tormenting victims actually works against him here. He wants to create fear, to play with his prey, to make them suffer psychologically before the kill. But Michael provides no satisfaction on this front. He's an emotional void, an empty vessel that simply cannot be terrorized or manipulated. Freddy's disadvantages in this matchup. While Freddy Krueger is undoubtedly one of horror's most powerful villains, this particular matchup presents specific challenges that neutralize his advantages. power source dependency. Unlike Michael, whose power seems intrinsic and self-sustaining, Freddy requires specific conditions, sleep, fear, to operate at full capacity. Against an opponent who provides neither, he's fighting with one hand tied behind his back. Limited real-world power. When forced to fight in physical reality, Freddy is substantially less dangerous. His regeneration is slower, his reality-warping abilities are minimal, and he's vulnerable to sustained physical damage. Psychological tactics. Useless. Freddy's greatest strength, his ability to psychologically torment and manipulate, is completely wasted on Michael Myers. It's like trying to intimidate a tidal wave or frighten a hurricane. The ultimate verdict. In this clash of horror titans, Michael Myers would ultimately prevail. The matchup essentially pits Freddy's psychological and dream-based powers against Michael's pure, relentless physicality and emotional emptiness. While Freddy could potentially win if he could drag Michael fully into a dream state, Michael's apparent lack of sleep and complete absence of fear make this virtually impossible. The battle would be brutal and prolonged, with both combatants taking tremendous damage. But Michael's advantages in this specific matchup, his immunity to fear, his superior physical strength, his unwavering determination, and his ability to fight effectively in the real world, would gradually grind down Freddy's defenses. In the end, the shape of evil would remain standing, while the dream demon would be vanquished, at least temporarily. Michael Myers represents an almost pure force of death, simple, direct, and utterly unstoppable. Against such an opponent, even Freddy Krueger's considerable powers would ultimately fall short. So there you have it, our analysis of who would win in a battle between Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers. But what do you think? Do you agree with our conclusion? Or do you believe Freddy would find a way to pull Michael into the dream world and claim victory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us who you think would win and why. And while you're at it, let us know which horror icons you'd like to see face off next. Jason Voorhees versus Pinhead, Chucky versus Annabelle, the Xenomorph versus the Predator. The possibilities are endless. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another Who Would Win episode. We've got plenty more epic horror showdowns coming your way. Until next time, sleep tight, if you can.